Good. There are others here. There are other examples, right? For instance, here's another challenge that he says can be overcome by a simple appeal to facts. Some denounce the use of the word murder, he says, to describe abortion. What do you mean murder, right? Yet this language, he tells us, is consistent with the laws in nearly 2/3 of the states in the Union, at least in one regard, right? In the California statutes, which is where he's from, California, right? Under the category crimes against the person, the particular statute 187, murder is defined in this way. Murder is the unlawful killing of a human being or a fetus with malice of forethought, right? Emphasis added here. So after the definition, we find among the exceptions. So here it is. Murder is the unlawful killing of human beings or a fetus, right? With malice. So after this definition, we find among the exceptions, this section shall not apply to any person who commits an act which results in the death of a fetus if the act was solicited, aided, abetted, or consented to by the mother of the fetus. Right? So it's murder, except if the mother consents, is the basic idea, right? Now notice, he says this exception in California statute is troubling.
Sure.
Right? The moral principle underlying all homicide statutes is that human beings have innate worth because they're human beings, right? Value is not derived from what something outside of the individual is saying or is, right? It is intrinsic to who they are.
Right.
And that's why destroying a human being is the most serious crime. So destroying a baby is bad for the same reason as killing anybody, right? We have intrinsic worth by virtue of being human beings. So if intrinsic value of unborn human beings qualifies them for protection under homicide statutes, why is something extrinsic like the mother's choice even relevant to this situation? Right? How does the mere consent of the mother change the innate value of the little human being inside her? Right? So consent doesn't change. If indeed murder is wrong because people are human beings and they have intrinsic worth, then how does the consent of the mother change that? Right? In other words, if worth comes from within who we are, something external then can't change that. And so, fetal homicide, he says, statutes like California's are odd because the only difference between legal abortion and punishable homicide is the consent of the mother, right? So on the use of the word murder to describe abortion, then, pro-lifers are not extreme. Murder, he's suggesting, is okay to use in this situation. So notice what's happened is the claim is, you shouldn't use murder for abortion. So he says, well, let's look at the facts, right? And so he looks at the California statute, and he finds that murder is used with regard to fetuses, right?
There's just a caveat carved out.
Carved out with regard to, the mother's consent. Yeah. And, of course, he questions that.
Right, but only pre-birth, not post-birth.
Right. Yeah, why is it pre-birth? Yeah, right? Why can't it be post-birth? That's a good question, too. He doesn't deal with that, but that is a good question. And so he gets at the facts with regard to this, and he finds that indeed using the term murder is not extreme, right? That's the facts, ma'am.
Right.